jump scare yourself with the music.
Welcome back, everybody, to the third episode. If you are listening to it online, you're welcome back to a week later. We're doing a time jump. Otherwise, welcome back from the intermission. Once again, I am Samera.
And I'm Eve, the co-host.
And we are joined once again by the wonderful, honorable Corrie DiManno, mayor of the town of Banff. Welcome back.
Thank you. I've been enjoying myself, and I can't wait to keep chatting with you two.
Well, I mean, you did say you're a chatterbox, so I'm going to hold you to that. So during the intermission, we were talking a little bit about this because of the fact that, usually Pride events happen in June, but here in Banff, our wonderful week-long celebration happens in October. And Corrie, you were giving us an amazing description about why.
Yes. So originally, all those years ago in 2013, when Banff Pride started, the organizer at the time, Joe Bembridge, was trying to find a venue. And the reality is, we are really busy in Banff from May long to Thanksgiving. And so it was challenging
Canadian
to
Thanksgiving,
find.
that is.
Yes. Thank you for that. So mid-October, and it was really challenging to find a space, and the only venues that were available were after that summer season. And so he was able to secure, at the time it was called Wild Bill's, a cowboy bar in downtown Banff for the first Banff Pride, and then it just stayed that way. And when you think about it, it makes a lot of sense because the town is full and pretty busy, and like you said earlier, Samera, we're just trying to basically maintain in summer. There's no goal to grow summer growth. And so Pride kept on the outskirts in October, but it's really nice because it's after the peak season and folks can take a breath and they can have some time off, and the community can really come together and enjoy themselves and this festival, and it not feel as busy of a pace that would be if we were hosting this in June like other communities. So it's kind of neat. And over the years, there's definitely been folks who would like to see it move to the more traditional June, but
How?
But, I think Pride's also, we didn't mention this earlier, but they've also done a good job of trying to do events throughout the year, too. That's been another part of the evolution, is different. Yeah. There's is it a monthly, I think, meetup at the brew pub, Beers for Queers. And then they've got various other events that I think are geared toward either kind of like a craft night or kind of more one-off nightlife sort of activities. So that's been great too. But yeah, we're in October, which makes us special.
I can't imagine the logistics. Having been to Banff and seeing how tight the streets are, you're in the middle of a national park, so there's only so much you can do. There was an event that y'all had there recently. There's y'all, they're popped in. That was up there recently where so many people had come to town that people were parking outside and walking in. Like, I would imagine that's what your summers would have to be like if you did June and Pride, just because of that.
Well, that event was definitely an extraordinary circumstance, but it was also a wake-up call of what it looks like when our community is pushed to its max and beyond in terms of capacity. So it really did open our eyes to what can happen when you're marketing for an event that is at a certain time of day and the growing population of Calgary decides to show up for it. So it definitely was a shock to our system, but we are learning from it and figuring out how to move forward in the future for sure.
Yeah, that event, so that was the ski touring event, and I don't think anybody was prepared for just how busy it was going to be because, like, me working in hospitality, like, we kind of took it in as, okay, well, Canmore's got a hockey tournament going on and they're busy. And so we're just getting overflow. We have a little bit of coming in from ski juring, but of course, because of how many bookings happen online and we were still getting like the ski crowds, we're like, okay, like, we've had a good winter of a lot of snow, so probably people are coming in for skiing. And we didn't see it as it came in as ski touring. I don't think anybody foresaw that.
No, it was a bit of a few variables all connecting to create what we saw. The weather was really good, for example. Historically, it was usually -25 on the Skijorian weekend. I think it was +14 in Calgary that day, so it was really warm. I think it also just became this sort of cult following with everything to do with Western culture and Yellowstone on Netflix and Stampede vibes. And I think that it just sort of snowballed because the marketing was the same as it was every other year. And it, we didn't have that kind of attendance before. So, anyways, like I said, we learned a lot, and there's really serious debriefings going on about how this could work in the future for sure.
I can only imagine. Yeah, because there was a ski touring event that happened somewhere mid Alberta, and that I know of like a family friend that went to it, and apparently it was not that busy. So it's just so
Nice.
interesting to hear about, it happened elsewhere, didn't really
Hmm.
get the following, but here in Banff, I think it's just compounded because Banff.
Exactly. Yeah. But what's really cool too about our Skijoring, and I'm not sure if she does this with the other Skijor Canada events, but we have Carla Marks, who's an activist and just overall icon, come to help with the show. So it's always so entertaining, and she is just effervescent out there, and it's always such a delight to see her on Skijoring weekend.
That's a fun segue into guess who we're having on Monday.
Really? Like squeal?
Yeah. So now that you have the
Surprise!
Twitch link, you can join and see us as we
Absolutely.
get to chat with Carla Marks, also known as Victoria, and I'm going to butcher her last name, Butchholz.
Oh, she's incredible. I've been in a few rooms with her. I've seen her do a speaker series where she's talked about queer history, and then I've seen her at the helm of the trans rally in Calgary when the legislation was first being introduced, and she is magnetic and just formidable. Like, she is just an incredible woman.
Absolutely. I haven't heard any bad things, and everything I've seen, and like just the interactions she's had because I've seen her at Calgary Pride, Banff Pride. Even when I talk to Aurora, like Aurora has talked about her, and it's just like it's so cool to see that. And it was one of those people that I was like, I need to get her. Like,
She's a catch. So smart and
oh,
witty and just knowledgeable about just everything that's going on and the process. And yeah, just you'll have a great time talking to her, obviously.
absolutely. Thank you. um So we talk a little bit about the summer, and I know it's kind of a little bit off topic, but I mean,
Mhm.
I'm kind of curious about like what's it like being mayor to a town that you get to see the general population for half the year, and by that I mean like we have a population of what 12,000 people year round, and then during the summer it like quadruples.
So some of the stats are we are about 9,000 permanent residents. We are going to do a census year though, so we'll see what that says. And we welcome about 4.2 million visitors a year during peak season, which again is end of May toward mid-October, we can see, typically in July and August, up to 40,000 people in Banff on any given day. So it's definitely fun to have people from all over the world, around you. I think it's what makes Banff really cool, is that we're in this neat little microcosm of the world, but it also presents some challenges, and we've had to employ some pretty creative solutions to help ensure that it's a good visitor experience as well as a good quality of life for residents.
Sorry, did you have a question there, Eve?
No, I was just reminded of when I visited in October. One of the things I commented on was how many Australians were working there at the time. And it was just like there was people from all over that I had met in like just a very short few days that I was in the town itself. And it was just like what it
Where
was
am I?
surprising. It was very surprising.
It's
It's really cool. I love that you hear different accents and
Yeah.
languages in Alberta. It's pretty neat when you think about it. And I have made so many Australian friends here in particular over the years that when I went there many, many years ago, I was able to visit a few of them in the cities where they lived, and that kind of helped informed my itinerary. So
That's
you
cool.
can make these, yeah, friendships and connect with them down the road, and it's really beautiful, this collision space we have in Banff where all corners of the world can meet.
it, it's definitely like one of my favorite things about living here is exactly that is just getting to walk down Banff Avenue during heck any time of the year really. And just hearing all the different languages and accents and people and just like cultures coming through. It was actually kind of cool because one of the cool days that I just remember very vividly in my mind is we were in the Banff Park area, and I think it was during June or something like that. And in the gazebo, uh, a man and his two sons were put out some mats and were doing their I think it was Islam, but they were doing their
Mm.
prayers and they were making sure like to face north and everything, and it was just really cool to see that um just in the middle of Banff.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And it's just like so cool to see because it is that melting pot. And of course, we're welcoming all these people and just being, hosts to the world, being a, world renowned site.
Hmm.
And I mean, I guess a little bit to you, your credit, like you get to work with uh municipal government, federal government, provincial government, Parks Canada, like you have layers upon layers upon layers of people you must deal with on like a daily basis, really.
That's one of the things that makes Banff really unique to other municipalities. So us and Jasper are both
Yeah.
towns within national parks. So they're our sister community, but other than us two, there's no one quite like us. So it can be complex and it can be challenging because you are working with various orders of government and stakeholders, but I think that's also what in many ways saves us from becoming a community that we don't want to be. So another thing about Banff is we have a fixed land boundary, we have a commercial cap, and we have a need to reside. So you have to work in Banff to be able to live in Banff. So these three pillars are so foundational to how we've been able to protect our environment and also ensure that we have a very livable community here. And again, we strive to always be better, but it has really helped ensure that Banff has remained a really special place.
Absolutely. And then even on top of that, you work with a lot of indigenous communities in the area, as well as we are a very I want to say like a very spiritual site for a lot of
Mhm.
indigenous tribes. One of the coolest things that came in the story, I think it was last year, they did the first buffalo hunt in like
Mhm.
35 years or something like that.
Mhm.
So just, yeah.
Well, absolutely. We're stewards of this land that we know is so sacred, and it's a responsibility that we take very seriously. That we are on Treaty 7 lands and we're here as treaty people, and that means we all need to respect one another and these lands and the wildlife and really keep that first and foremost when we're making any kind of decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. Going into that side of it, one of the cool things as well that I love about the history and the background of Banff, and even for you, is you're also carrying on an amazing legacy of 3 generations, I want to say. I don't know if that's the correct term, but of female mayors as well, including one who is now a senator.
Yes, shout out to Senator Karen Sorensen. She is the independent senator from the Rocky Mountains in Alberta, and I feel very grateful to also know her as Karen and as a
Oh,
friend, and she certainly has been a mentor to me and is the reason that I'm the mayor today. I remember going to her in 2013 when I was thinking of running and I was working at a local newspaper, and I said to her, I think I want to run for council. And she was just, okay, here's what we're gonna do. Here's what you need to know, you know, what you should be thinking about and how you can prepare for the election and how you can do this. And she really just gave me that confidence boost and made me feel like I could do it. And then over the years, it was really great to be able to work closely with her and see her style of leadership and how she really valued relationships and connecting with people. And that's something I've definitely taken into this role. Is it's about talking to people and forming those relationships and then being able to go to folks when you're in times of stress. It's not a cold call. You've built up a relationship, and I credit her for me knowing that that is something that's really integral to this role. And there's even times in the last 4 years where I'm in a tricky, sticky situation and I'm just kind of disassociating, not knowing what I should do. And her phone is always open for me to be able to give her a call to just seek some guidance and advice. And I'm, yeah, really grateful for her friendship and her mentorship, that's for sure.
That is so cool, actually. That is like so amazing that you have that connection and that built legacy and growth and connection.
It didn't mean that we always agreed on every
No.
decision or anything like that, but I think it just really showed me, how you can get through this job, and the way that she carried herself and the way she interacted with the community just really showed me a pathway to being authentic and being able to be myself in this job too, which I'm really grateful for. And then what's been really neat is we have had a younger counselor the last term. Her name's Kaylee Ram,
Yep.
and it's been now neat to be able to, on a similar path, be able to give her some of that same advice that I was given from Karen in terms of, what to expect or how to get through certain topics or decisions. And again, doesn't mean we're going to agree all the time, but just being that source of support for a young woman in politics and showing her how I got through it, and, take what you like from this advice, leave the rest, and make your own path. But it's been really neat to see that transfer from what Karen showed me to what I'm now helping to support her with when she needs it. But I mean, she's also got it sorted out, and I learn a lot from her obviously too.
passing of the torch, as it were.
Yeah, it's cool. It's neat seeing young women in politics in general, because it's not a space that's predominantly
Mm.
female. It's mostly male here in Canada. I think the stat is something like 30% of elected officials are women. So it's incredible just to be able to support other women in politics and really try and let them know that, hey, like, your voice is important here, and this is a important place for you to be, because where decisions are being made, we should have women there too.
Here's a little bit of encouragement from the chat from Trinity. Is given the state of politics in your in your southern neighbor, it's really refreshing to see a politician who is actually accountable to the folks they represent. So just take that for that encouragement, Corey, because
Oh,
you absolutely um, embody that.
aw, thanks, Trinity, and thanks, Samera. I definitely, yeah, pride myself on being accountable. I don't always say the right thing. I don't always do the right thing. Municipality can have a misstep, etc. But I think owning it and learning and trying to do better in the future is all we can do. And so I'm always open to hearing that feedback, that I can do better or the municipality can do better, because we're here to serve our community. And yeah, we want to do a good job at that.
Gosh, Corey, do better here. Like, I am so disappointed. um, I guess with that and the accountability, do you find like there are times when, and not even always being able to agree with like the different people around you, where you have to sometimes take off the personal hat and put on the hat that actually represents the people? Like how do you find that?
Sometimes it feels like the mayor hat is a hat that you just can't take off
Yeah.
because people won't let you.
There goes the mayor.
Yeah, exactly. But, I would say that I try to meet people where they are, and I try to be empathetic to understand their situation, to understand their concerns, and to try and give them the pathway to try to address those. So, sometimes I'll meet with a resident and I might not necessarily agree with the change that they want to see, for example, but I'll tell them how they should go about trying to achieve that. Like, here's the pathway, here's what you need to do. And I'm also here to help support that, because I think it takes a lot of courage in instances to come to your elected officials and to be vulnerable and let them know what is going on in your life and what needs to change for you. And so, yeah, I really respect that it's not always easy to step forward. So, but yeah, in terms of the hats, I mean, I try as much as possible to just step into that role as who I am in general. There are times where I'm like, oh my God, I gotta like go be the mayor. I gotta like put on a colored shirt, and I've gotta like go in front of a crowd and talk about like mayor stuff. And I feel like I'm cosplaying a little bit sometimes, but also, yeah, just try and be myself too. Which sometimes I'm like, Corey, just stop talking. Like right now.
No,
It's
you're
hard
doing
to stay
great. I'm loving
genuine.
this.
Absolutely.
And yeah, there's definitely sometimes that feeling because, until this last year, it was like, you're the mayor. It's like, oh my gosh, like that's the mayor. And it wasn't until like, talking with people I work with, they're like, yeah, that's just Corey. It's like, but she's the mayor. Like,
Yeah,
No, but I love that. I love that that's just Corey. That's
that's just Corey.
exactly. That's exactly what I am, and how I like to hear people describe me. That's awesome.
Yeah,
it's like
absolutely.
Mystique
And
has
it's just,
thrown. Go ahead. Sorry.
no, I was just going to say, like, yeah, it's just that whole realization. She's just another person. She's just human. Just
Well,
Absolutely. What's the mayor like in your town or city, Eve?
uh, not that beloved as of late.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Okay.
mm, how to describe local politics? It's complicated here.
That's fair.
It's oh, what was the statistic? Per capita, where I'm located, we have the highest concentration of Puerto Rican population than anywhere else in the United
Ooh.
States. And
Mhm.
so it is very, very prevalent from a community perspective. It's almost like a miniature Puerto Rico at times. In the summer,
Mm.
I will hear Puerto Rican bands and music going up and down the street in the cars and whatnot. It's like extremely prevalent.
Mhm.
And
That sounds
so
like so
there's
much fun.
sometimes I have a skate park right behind my house, and the kids like to come with their souped up stereo systems and shake my windows. I sound like an old woman when I say that, but it's really frustrating some days. But I digress. Um, it makes it really words like pandering tend to get thrown out a lot. But that's
Mhm.
complicated when you have one population here that was grown as primarily an Irish community way back in the
Mm.
founding of the town.
Mhm.
And now you have this younger, growing Puerto Rican population. So you have these two different cultures that quite haven't meshed as well as they
Mhm.
could, regardless of current day politics in the
Mhm.
States. And so I can't imagine what that must be like for our mayor to have to try to balance that out amongst all the other things in the city that we have.
Mhm.
Um, our population, what is our population from this? I know we have a census coming. We just had our census, was just done. About 40,000. So
Okay.
it's a decent sized town. I think it's a little bit bigger than that. But yeah, I can't imagine doing that. What you do either. It's just like no, I could barely imagine manage a team of 10 at work, let alone town.
It's rewarding as it is challenging. So I always try to hang on to the rewarding days, that's for sure.
I'm sure there's days where you just want to pull your hair out and walk away into the mountains somewheres.
And that's what I usually do is I'm going up Tunnel Mountain. I need to just decompress and find my happy place.
See, you talking about, the kids blasting out the stereo all the time. All I can think of is Sunday Fun Day because that's when
Mm.
everybody in town goes out and drinks and parties and
It's all week.
it's
All week.
painful.
Mhm.
I've had nights where I've had to call the police at midnight and say, "Could you please send someone over to ask them to stop?"
Mm.
But
What's been nice in Banff though is we have seen a downward trend of a lot of our late night noise disturbances. So, drunk and disorderly, public intoxication, those have all been on a downward trend in the last several years. And I think it has to do with just this evolution in the community of the median age is now 36 years old. And a lot of the events we put on are more family friendly focused. So, it's been a nice shift, but I've definitely partaken in the Sunday Fun Day atmosphere in my youth, but I am glad to now hear that there's a bit of a shift happening.
Yeah, absolutely. I can proudly say that I never have.
that makes you a better person than I. I had my fair share of thirsty Thursdays.
Oh, yeah, that's a blast from the past.
Oh,
Yeah,
college days
I've
because there
gone
were no
to like
classes Friday.
I've done the beers for queers. I've done the Wednesday night wine nights, and I've done the Tuesday night calzone and margarita nights. Those are the ones I've
Mm.
partaken in.
Mhm, mhm.
Calzone and margarita nights.
Yeah, I've been to a couple of those too. It's been a while. I feel like the pandemic just sort of
Yeah.
shook things up and turned me into a grand millennial. Uh, so I feel like I've just gotten cozier at home after the pandemic.
How was that for Banff? Like having to manage social distancing and all of that. What was that experience like for Banff? I'm curious.
So I was on council at the time, and it was really challenging because we're a community that depends on tourism, what fuels our economy. So one stat we always use is that basically overnight we experienced 85% unemployment between Banff and Lake Louise. And so it was probably one of the darkest days we've had as a community. And you had food pantries and kitchens popping up overnight to help folks. And people were really stressed about obviously their income and how they were going to pay rent. So it was really difficult. And at the same time, as a place that relies on tourism, yeah, it was hard. So we lost a lot of our economy overnight, but we were still a small community with limited hospital beds. And when we didn't know what we didn't know, there was a lot of fear and anxiety about people coming into the community. And as we got more into the pandemic, council made a few decisions. We called a state of local emergency, which gave us the authority to be able to put up checkpoints at our entrances, for lack of a better term, just to ensure that people had an essential reason to come into town. That didn't last for a very long time, but that was one measure we did. We also eventually put up a pedestrian zone downtown, which to your point helped with physical distancing. And there was also restrictions around occupancy in retail and restaurants. So this helped with people being able to line up outside properly. And this was once life started to try and happen again while we were still in the throes. So the summer of 2020, for instance, and the summer of 21, we had the pedestrian zone as a COVID response to be able to still allow for that economic activity to occur. Because again, that's our livelihood here. And without it, there were some really devastating impacts for people. We also lost a ton of our community members who were from other countries. So they got the call from leadership in these other countries saying, "Come back home." And this was early days when we didn't know what we didn't know. So we actually saw a bit of a mass exodus of people from the community as well. It was pretty stressful, actually,
Yeah.
and it was something that I hope we don't have to live through again anytime soon, that's for sure.
I was actually here during that time as well, and
Mm,
it was my being in hospitality for the last, oh gosh, 25 years ish. Like that was one of the hardest times in that whole 25 years because,
really?
well, my favorite thing working, I was up at the Rimrock Hotel at the time, and working in reservations, one of my favorite things, and still to this day loves about the job, was making vacations for people, like giving them that
Mm,
once in a lifetime come out here bucket list reservations. Even returning people for doing their annual family things, and I was calling people to cancel their reservations.
Mm.
I had to go and say, "No, you can't. When are you opening again? I don't know." Um, it really sucked, and it was just like it was horrid.
COVID
Um,
ruined everything.
yeah. And then, yeah, I remember the checkpoints, and it was like, honestly, we needed them because of the fact that because so many people didn't have anything else to do, we had people who were still driving out this way to go and
mhm,
do, come and see Banff or whatever. And it's
mhm,
just like,
mhm,
we didn't, everything was shut down. We didn't have anywhere to accommodate people. So I remember that, and it was just like it was one of those necessary evils.
mhm.
Um, and unfortunately, yeah, it also brought the pedestrian zone, which is probably to this day the single thing that has divided our community. Um,
It That's one way to describe it for sure. We've had a few of those. Like, I remember when pay parking was so controversial and people were asking for all of us to resign because we wanted to implement pay parking. And now we've had it
Resign?
for resign.
Oh my
Now we've had
god.
it for about 5 years, and it's making us upwards of $8 million a year. It's
Wow.
fully funding our transit system. It's giving residents free transit, $500 e-bike rebates. It's paying for all of the fire smarting work that we've done in the last year to help protect us from wildfire. So it's interesting how, with more discussions and connecting with community, these issues can evolve. Yes, Samara's right. Downtown pedestrian zone was very controversial. People that loved it really loved it. The people that did not like it really did not like it. It was very
There was no
polarizing.
neutral.
There never
There,
is.
it was wild.
And
I think that, it was good that we did it during COVID. I think it
Yeah.
served a purpose, and I could envision it as part of our future, but I could also appreciate that there are other pieces that would need to fall into place to ever bring it back. And I think we're trying to work through those, not for the purpose of bringing it back, just for the purpose of these got highlighted. So, you know, traffic obviously was one part of that conversation. Evacuation planning was another, and so I think it's just about focusing on a lot of those topics that came up.
Oh yeah, totally. And I mean, I obviously don't want to get into that because of the topic that it is. It was just it. I guess to my point is it was just kind of like one of those things that I didn't think would be such a big divisive thing that became such a because I still remember when the vote came through and it's like 52-48. It's like holy crap, like it was such a crazy thing to see. And but yeah, but like I also said, like it was just one of those things that just really split the community, and it just kind of was sad to see something like that was what the catalyst was.
hmm
um
Yeah, for sure. You definitely don't want to have
no.
neighbors upset with each other, or friends that can't talk to each other about a topic, or coworkers who, are disagreeing with each other on Facebook or wherever. So it was definitely uncomfortable, and it's unfortunate it got to that point.
Yeah. I was up at the Rimrock during that time, and we actually had a no talking about it at work policy. Like,
I
that's
didn't
how
know that,
bad it
really.
was. And it was just like, okay.
There was an actual don't talk about
It
the
was an
pedestrian
actual,
zone
you
policy.
cannot talk about this.
That's funny.
I kind of wish I had that at work because that's all we talked about.
Oh, I
It
can
got to the
imagine.
point where, and to be fair, it was a real exercise in trying to see it from other people's perspective. And it was my first real experience in, like, I could recite both sides of the argument to whoever I was talking to, because you're just listening really
Oh, I
deeply to
can
understand
imagine.
what the concerns are or what the benefits are. And I felt like I just did a lot of deep listening, and it really showed me, if you want to kind of have those debates, it's good to be educated on not just your perspective, but the other side's perspective too. Because then I think that just kind of helps you make more well rounded decisions. So I learned from it. You got to learn. There's always something to learn.
Absolutely. So it looks like we're winding down. I have one other question. I don't know how many more
Sure.
Eva does, but one of the questions I have for you is, being in politics, working with all the different levels and everything. Like, I love the fact that you got encouragement to go into politics, and then you now mentoring Kaylee Ram into further politics and things like that. But if you could give one piece of advice for our wonderful people here, especially who are in a very distinct minority, being trans LGBTQ, like what is the best advice that you could give us for getting involved in politics, even getting involved with, like, talking to counselors, mayors,
Mhm.
state Congress MPs, MLAs, etc., like just working with those.
I think it's just so important that decision makers are hearing from everybody. And I realize that that's a very maybe bold thing to say when you're a community that is being targeted and whose very existence is up for debate. So I realized that there is a real privilege in me giving that advice because I realize that that might not be the case for everyone. So I guess first and foremost, make sure your safety is protected. But if you do feel that you're in a position where it is safe for you to speak up and advocate, then I think it's whatever you're comfortable with. So whether it's your local government, and I always say that the municipality is the government that's closest to the people, look into who your councilors are, who your mayor is, and reach out to them directly. I'd also say, you know, um, if you're feeling like it's safe to do so, apply for a committee and get into the organizational matrix that way, whether it's the library committee or something to do with art or heritage or planning. There's so many different ways that you can get involved, and you can become a person that helps to shape the conversation and the policies to ensure that they are as inclusive as possible for your community. But again, I realize you don't want to put yourself in a position where you're compromising your safety or anything like that. But I would definitely encourage people to, yeah, speak up on matters that are important to you. And if you're in a position to do so, apply for those committees to be a decision maker yourself. And really, that is a stepping stone to thinking about running for office yourself, because that's ultimately a really good way to shape our surroundings.
That's
Does
great
that make
advice.
sense? Like,
Oh,
is
that's
Oh
that
great
yeah,
advice.
is that good
absolutely.
advice?
That's awesome.
Okay.
That's fantastic
But
advice.
but I would say, your government should be representative of your communities, and so it's important that they are diverse and that there's robust perspectives and everyone has something to contribute.
Absolutely. Um, Thank you so much for that. Eve, do you have anything else?
I think that's a great way to end her footnotes and advice. That's a great commentary to go out on. Honestly, I like that a lot. I can't think of
Amazing.
anything to add to that.
Just an empowerment pep talk. And,
There you go.
I'd also say that my contact information is publicly available online. Just Google me. And I'm also happy to chat with anybody if they've got any more questions or if they're thinking about running for municipal politics. I always love talking to people about why they should do that. And I'm happy to dust off the Corrie DiManno playbook and hand it over and
And now
cheer
this
you
is
on.
when Corey gets all the emails from all over the states and Canada and everywhere else around the world.
I love it.
Okay, well then, ending on that note, that high note, that awesome note, the way that I love to end these wonderful episodes is self-care. What do you have
Ooh.
planned for self-care for the next day, 2 days, 3 days, weekend? Just what do you have planned? Just because I know that, for some of us, namely me, doing these sort of chats can always be a bit overwhelming, overstimulating. But what do you have planned to self-care for the next little bit?
Well, I think immediately after this, I was thinking about making a bowl of mac and cheese.
Oh, heck yeah.
That's funny because we just had a poll on our Discord about do you eat mac and cheese? What's your utensil of choice for mac and cheese?
What was it?
I think fork was the winner.
So we have the
Okay.
option of fork, spoon, knife, spork, ladle, or your hands. What's your tool of choice?
Well, I use a spoon. I just shovel it in with a spoon. So that'll be step one. And then, yeah, I think just takes us full circle to the beginning of the conversation. It's all about getting outside for me. That's how I do my mental tidy through my brain. It's how I find my zen. It's how I decompress. It's how I connect with nature and feel recharged. And it's definitely how I take care of myself. So getting outside either for a walk or a little hike. Soon we'll be road biking in a couple months, and I'll be doing that too to find my happy place.
Well, I'll keep my fingers crossed for you for that the weather stays good, because I thought I saw that it's supposed to rain. So
That mountain weather.
that mountain weather. Eve, what do you have planned for self-care for the next little bit?
Oh, let's see. Saturday we have the obligatory nail appointment. That's always one of my go-tos. Got to have that done. And I don't know if it counts. It's not just kind of self-care for me because I can't stand having, after a while, I accumulate all little piles around the house. And the basement has become a pile in and of itself. So I'm going to start tackling that to get rid of some of that mental clutter that's associated with it right now. I'm very much looking forward to a basement clean out.
What color are you going to do your nails?
I have no idea. And that's the
Ooh.
biggest problem because I like to challenge my nail tech as much as I possibly can. She encourages it because it allows her to practice. But the problem is I'm wedged in the middle of her day. So I can't do
Yeah.
anything overly complicated. And that just kind of takes the
Mhm.
wind out of the sail. So it's like, oh God, what do we do
Mm.
now?
What's the recommendation from the mayor?
Ooh, well, I'm very much a purple forward person. I have a purple bike, purple jacket, purple pen. You
We can make
get
purple
the
work.
gist.
We can make purple work.
There you go.
What about you,
And
So
then
what
Samara?
about you?
For me, I am actually having the first weekend in 3 or 4 weekends where I'm not going to Calgary for appointments and things. So I'm going to be here in Banff and I am not leaving. I am going to be a couch potato and I am looking forward to it because I'm just capped.
That sounds awesome and much needed.
Oh, it is so much needed because, like I said, every weekend it's been going to Calgary, and of those many weekends I've been in Calgary, 2 of them have been driving through snowstorms because
Oh,
mountain weather.
I can't share the messages in the chat, but Trinity had posted that self-care equals beginning pole dance class on Saturday.
There you go.
That's
I
some
wish I was
self-care.
that flexible. Yeah, absolutely.
We love that. Perfect. Well then, if there's any closing thoughts, otherwise we will call it here because I have nothing else.
Just would say thank you so much for having me here on Transpotting, and I'm happy to be a return guest at any point in the future. So look forward to talking again on down the road.
We didn't scare her away.
We did it!
Insert Kim Possible theme song.
Oh gosh, I nope. I don't need that DMCA takedown. The music we actually use is a local trans artist. This season
Oh,
is brought to you
fantastic.
by, I think this season is Maddie Grace, I think? No. Or is it? Oh gosh, I am doing terrible. Usually Riv is the one that gets this stuff out, but it is a trans artist. I can definitely tell you that. Sorry.
You're doing great.
I'm doing great. All right, everybody. Thank you again, Corrie, so much for joining us today. It was absolutely wonderful
Absolutely.
getting to sit and chat with you.
Thank you. Likewise.
And to everybody who is still hanging around, thank you so much for joining us today. And we'll see you next time. Toodles.
On Monday.
On Monday. Now, let's see if this will play.
Try not to jump this time.
Stumbling for words in a vacant land.